kind of where we were last week. I don't know, man. It's really hard. The book of Proverbs is so different. There's so much, right? There's so much wisdom. Who doesn't want wisdom? Everybody wants some type of wisdom, no matter what it is. We all want some type of wisdom, right? Even the Bible tells us to want wisdom. James 1, verse 2, right? If any man lack wisdom, man, I'm doing too many things at once. And that's driving me nuts here. But I do want to turn there. It's funny, with all this stuff, I usually have my phone. Like, it's my phone and my iPad and my Bible. I got all three, and I'm each looking up at a different verse. It's pretty fun. All right. Verse 2, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have a perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I really kind of wanted to get to that, verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable. Well, why does it talk about that when it talks about wisdom? Because, at least for me, I wanted wisdom without God, without the relationship with Christ. Not that I didn't want the relationship with Christ, I thought I could get it without it. I thought if I just read and studied Proverbs, then I would get it, right? Like, it just would happen. And all the while, I had sin in my life that I never really dealt with, because I just felt like I go to church, right? Like, I tithe, I do those things I'm supposed to do. I'm here. My father-in-law's pastor. Like, I'm good, right? I got checked all the boxes. I'm good. So I should be getting this wisdom. And it just never happened. And I was double-minded, and I knew it. I just didn't know how to get rid of it. I didn't know how to be single-minded. Like, I knew I was double-minded because I came in here was a different person than I would when I went to work, per se. It wasn't intentional. I never intended to be that way. It just, you go to church because you want to get better. Like, I think we all want that. And you start getting some things pointed out to you, and God starts pointing some things out in your heart. And then you're like, whoa. I didn't know we were going to talk about getting rid of all this stuff, right? At least that's how I felt. Let's see, music and TV shows and friends. Actually, friends were the easiest thing to get rid of for me. Because as soon as I stopped partying and drinking, they stopped hanging out with me. So it made it easier for me. But it also kind of hurt. But no one calls me, no one texts me and says, hey, you doing all right? They all kind of figured I had, changed my ways. But I felt kind of like, dang, you're not even going to be like, hey, dude, you don't want to come out anymore? But they never did that. So anyways, that's where I was trying to find wisdom. And that's when I go back through and I read Proverbs now, it makes so much more sense. But then I realized, well, why does it make so much more sense to me now? What changed in my life to make it from that person there to this person now, who when I read it, it just, because I've experienced so much in life. And experience isn't the best teacher, because sometimes we keep doing the same thing even though we know we shouldn't be doing it. And so clearly that's not the best teacher. It's a relationship with God. That was the difference for me. So let's turn real quick, and we'll come right back to Proverbs. Let's turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If I can get my stuff together. We'll go ahead and start in verse 1. I'll just read on through here. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profit me nothing. Charity is, right, that's That's God's love, right? We can only get that from God. And the part that really got me is in all knowledge, right? We could do all these things, but if we don't have a relationship with God, nothing matters. I mean, it really doesn't matter how smart you think you are, how much knowledge you think you have. If you lack that relationship, it's all for naught. Because we're all going to end up making mistakes because we're all sinners. So we're all going to make mistakes. But usually when you make mistakes and you're in a position of not relationship with God, it's easier to say, well, this is just who I am. I guess this is the way I make mistakes. Instead of stopping immediately and asking for forgiveness and trying to move forward. Because that's the Christian life, right? It's not, oh, you don't make any more mistakes. It's when you make a mistake, you stop, you ask for forgiveness, and then you start changing your direction. So then the mistake you make next time won't be as severe as the one you made, right? And each time it'll get a little less, and less, to the point where now it's not really even a problem. Every blue moon maybe comes up, but it's not intentional. It just kind of does. So anyways, that's kind of my little spiel on wisdom and Proverbs and how this relates to us. Because when I was in your position as a mid-20s, I just wanted so much. I wanted knowledge. I just felt like I could. Right? The Bible says we're going to read through this, and it's plainly there. If you just seek it, if you want it, it'll be there. It's kind of like I was talking about the other week when I said wanting something so bad that you're willing to do whatever it takes. That's not a good thing. Like that's not the way that should work. And that's not how God works. That's not at all how God works. All right, let's continue on. We ended last week in verse 19 of chapter 1. I do want to go line by line, even though that's not my best style of teaching or preaching. There's so much here that I feel like if I don't say the whole thing or if I don't kind of cover it, then we're going to miss something. And there's so much in life, so many life lessons I have in here, or so many mistakes I've made that are like plainly written here, that I feel like I should share some of those with you as we go through. All right, so verse 21:20. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. Because remember, wisdom in Proverbs is presented as a woman, Lady Wisdom. She crieth in the chief place of concourse. In the openings of the gates in the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. So wisdom cries out. Wisdom cries, right? Wisdom cries without. In the chief place of concourse. Well, in Bible times, the gate of the city was where people would kind of hang out and congregate, and that's where you could get your message known. That's where wisdom is. Wisdom's where everybody is. It's everywhere. That's the way God designed it. It's even in social media. It's on TV. It's everywhere. We just have to be willing to. We have to discern it well enough to be able to know which is which. It's kind of like the voice in your head. Which one is it? Is that me? Is that God? Is that the devil? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's where we have to get to. All right. Because I have called and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel and would none of my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall ye call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Personally, that's not how God is, right? God is, as soon as we cry out, God's going to forgive us, right? But this is the person who has made the mistake and now wants somehow to be delivered from their mistake, right? We all have to pay. We reap what we sow. You rob a bank, right? You're going to go to jail when they catch you. But this person's now in jail crying, oh, well, I was listening. I was trying to listen to you, right? It's too late at that point, right? I will laugh. I will do all those things. For they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Oh, now that's the one right there. Prosperity of fools. People think if something goes good, oh, that God's behind that. God's behind that. There was one of the commentaries I was reading on this is people think that gain, or actually no, it's not commentary, it's from the Bible. Gain is godliness, but that's not true, right? Gain is not God. Prosperity or having a good job or something good happening in your life doesn't necessarily mean that God has favor upon your life, right? There's a guy at my work who money's not a real issue for him. I'm like, oh, okay. Like most people who aren't saved, money's a problem. It's a problem, right? I haven't met any rich people, so let me just start by that. I've met rich people where money is never a problem. But this dude is the kind of guy who, he's making decent money. His wife actually passed away, so he's had some rough things in his life come up. But money just doesn't seem to be one of them. Typically, people think they're okay if their money's okay. That's just the way a lot of people tend to feel. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. So who shall dwell safely with wisdom, right? Shall be quiet and from fear of evil, right? So you're not necessarily going to be quiet, but you won't be so afraid. There is another. Let me see if never mind. Let's go to chapter 2. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thy heart unto understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then thou shalt understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. Whew, okay. Right? It's talking about if you cry out for knowledge, if you lift up your voice, if you seek it for as wisdom as for hid treasure, right? That's what I was talking about earlier. If you just want it, you'll get it. Man, that's dangerous. That is just a dangerous place to be in life where you just want it so bad, you're just willing to do anything. That's not typically God. That's not how God works. But if you want this, then you're going to want the connection to get it. And the connection, again, is through Christ, right? That's that relationship. Because this wisdom is from God. And God, through the Holy Spirit, is dwelling within us. That gives us the wisdom that we're supposed to have. So seeking it and all that stuff is just a dangerous game to play. And I don't want any of you to fall into that trap of, man, I read it in Proverbs. It said if I just really try for it, if I just seek after it, I'll get it. I just wish it worked so simple, because I feel like I would have had it years ago. Man, I would have so understood Proverbs and the knowledge and all that stuff. And maybe God gave it to me and I just was a fool and never saw it. And then, the fear of the Lord, that's the same with verse 7 in chapter 1. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. If you do all these things, then you should understand the beginning of knowledge, right? That's essentially what it means. If we do all these things, that's a lot of things to do, and we're just going to start to understand knowledge, that just seems like a lot for what we're going to get out of it. Well, let's continue on for a little bit. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the ways of his saints. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. What was it? When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things. The thing about the evil man is he doesn't always appear to be evil. He doesn't. right? It's knowledge, it's wisdom from God to understand that that man is evil, right? Because we always want to paint the evil guy as, oh, he's Hitler. He's going to have a little stash on or something, right? He's going to be so noticeable, we will know why he's so evil. But the truth is, you're not going to know the evil man. Not until his fruits are revealed and you're like, dang it, that guy was bad. Unless you have wisdom from God telling you way ahead of time, steer clear of this person. And steer very, very clear of the evil man. Whoever that is trying to deceive you, right? That speaketh forward things. You know, who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in forwardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked and they forward in their paths. Whew. Right? That's not a good person to be around. Or in general, people, right? You don't want to be around people who are like that. And how do you know who those people are? God, right? It's honestly through prayer. Now, for me, it's a lot more experience now than it is. I have to always pray about it. I can tell sly character from far away now. One of the coaches, the guy I helped coach with last year, so not this past season, but the year before, 2021, I didn't really like the dude. He liked to talk kind of sideways out of his mouth different times, and he'd just spit off random things, and he just was like a different kind of guy. I didn't want to be like friends with him, but I knew I had to coach, right? And I also knew that I knew a lot more about baseball than he did. But he's the coach. Hey, I'll do whatever he says, because I'm not here to take over. That's not my goal. I'm here to help the kids. But boy, he was a sly character. He always did something, would do like weird shady stuff. So this one time he wanted, apparently they wanted Alex on this other team. So he was telling me all about it. Oh yeah, we want your son, this and this and this. I'm like, well, if you really wanted, why didn't you call me like a couple weeks ago when you guys were doing this? I didn't say that because what's the point? Oh, you should do this. And I said, okay, well, text me, call me whenever. Oh, I don't have my phone. I smashed it. Okay, well, I'll figure your phone number out and I'll text you at some point. I wasn't going to text him. Get home, and my wife's like, oh, so talk to Chris. He said da-da-da-da about this team and this and this and this. And I'm like, how'd he text you? He smashed his phone. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He didn't smash his phone. But whose number did he have? He didn't have my phone number. He had my wife's phone number. Right? Like, that's a sly kind of character who wants to just slide into the DMs type deal. You know what I mean? That's a shady dude. I saw him from miles away. But still, we had to deal with him to an extent. And that's the only reason he even got in. But man, shady people, right? Just, those are the kind of people, that's the evil man. I'm not going to say that he's so evil, but he is the representation that Proverbs is talking about. He's the kind of guy. And we're going to get more into the ladies that are of ill character. And to me, they're just as obvious nowadays. But also, I'm not looking. So it's easier for me to look at every woman as, you are the evil woman. I don't want anything to do with you. It's a lot easier for me. But if I was looking for, that would be really difficult. And that's where we're going to get into that for you gentlemen who are obviously looking. We'll be done with that for today. But yeah, I kind of want to try a different style of just kind of getting into teaching and then see if we have a little time at the end to kind of chat.